Welcome, everyone, to our prayer journey with my daily devotion. There has not been one Christian that I know that in their life was not accused of doing something that they were not doing, and it is very hurtful. However, at the same time, people have made accusations that may have some truth to them, and that requires self-inspection. In Job, going through that whole book and reading it several times, I see an event happening here that I can really understand the problem. The problem, I think, is this. Job has a relationship with God, and these other individuals do not. And they love different things about God, but do not know God personally. This is my personal opinion. Because they are self-righteous, legalist, and have other issues that go along with pride. So when somebody comes down on you and makes accusations, it is very hurtful, especially when you think that those accusations are false. So when going through the book, I put down some points that we should look at for ourselves. Perhaps some of the things they are saying are very correct. I'm going to open here with just an accusation made to Job from Zophar. He said, "For thou hast said, my doctrine is pure, and I am clean in thy eyes. But oh, that God would speak and open his lips against thee." Oh boy, then you would be in trouble. You know, there's a lot of truth to that, even though it is very hurtful and he was wrong in his accusation to the extent that he was making it. He stood in a place where he's telling you something that you said previously was wrong, and Job doesn't see it that way. But a self-inspection needs to be done. We are not Christians because we are flawless. We are Christians because we are forgiven. So when somebody makes an attack upon us, we should go through a process in our mind. Am I guilty of this particular accusation? I read a story one time that Alexander the Great was making rounds and he found a sentry that had fallen asleep. And you know that back in those days, you would easily be put to death for it. But as Alexander the Great, and this is why he was probably a great leader, was about to kind of cast judgment on him, he said, "What is your name?" And the man said, "Alexander." Alexander pondered for a second and said, "Change the name or change the behavior." That's a good advice for Christians. Do we need to do a change? If we do, then we should do that. If a man accuses you and you are wrong, then you need to deal with the sin. In Job 8:13, he says this. He's speaking of evil men who forget God. "So are the paths of all that forget God, and the hypocrites' hope shall perish." If you forget God, God, in a sense, will forget you, and you will perish in your difficulties. And here is the greatest solution of all that is in the Bible. We should be willing and able to look at ourselves and say, you know what? He's right on this 100%. He's right on this 10%. This is something I need to fix. So what do? You confess with your mouth to Jesus and ask him to forgive your sin, and he is faithful and just to forgive you your sin. Now, if this individual was correct, which he wasn't in this particular case, you can go back to him and thank him for giving you the information that you needed. I've done that a couple of times, although I gotta admit sometimes it took 8 to 10 years to recognize, because I didn't want them to know that they were right. So until next time, may Jesus increase as we decrease.